Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yemisi, aka YemTem. If you are new here, I focus on motherhood, lifestyle, and all things in between. Alright, so I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, filled with love, family, and giving thanks. We should never stop giving thanks. So today I'm going to be speaking on my opinion and my thoughts on feminism and submission. So feminism is on this end, and then we have submission on this hand. So my goal today is just to share my experience with you guys. I'm not an expert, I will have to say that. As a disclaimer, this is again just me talking to you guys, having a girl chat. Feminism in modern day has become a thing. It's become a belief. It's become an identity. And I do feel as though that can also limit the way we think when we think that feminism is the only way to think. And what do I mean by that? I have to say that I fully support being a feminist. I do. But let me look up the definition of a feminist just to make sure we're all on the same page before I go further. So study.com, the definition of feminism says, feminism definition encompasses the political, ideological, and socially driven movements proposed to designate and establish equality between the two sexes on all bases of human life. As a social movement, the main characteristics and demands of feminism include equal pay in the workplace, reproductive rights, women's suffrage, which is the women's right to vote, the right to an education, fighting against gender stereotypes and performative behaviors, protection against sexual harassment and assault, and the right to own property. So as you can see, feminism fits the whole umbrella of what women are allowed to do, what women are now permitted to do, right? What women are supported to do, right to education, right to vote, right to own property. All of these things were in the past unknown to women. Everything had to be through her husband, right? To say, no, a woman can have the right to an education. A woman can vote. A woman can own property, right? A woman can own businesses. And that is what I support when it comes to feminism. The rights for a woman to do everything that a man can do in terms of the success, in terms of their ability to acquire different things, to gain and to learn. Feminists, sign me up for it. And I will say, just being in the corporate world as a corporate girl myself, I will say that there's definitely some bias for men and women still to this day, okay? And I believe that some companies may not say it out loud, but some companies may still be paying women less. We see research on this all the time. So that's still an ongoing battle. When it comes to feminism, I support it. I'm all for it. I'm a business owner. I'm a corporate girl. I work. I'm successful by the grace of God. So that's what I would say is feminism, and there's no faults to it. So now let's get into submission, which is the other side of the spectrum. It seems like it's two opposing wars, two opposing tribes, and it shouldn't be. So now let's get into what submission is. So the Merriam-Webster definition, which is just we all know this is a dictionary. Submission as a noun says it's the act of submitting something as for consideration or comment. Also something being submitted, right? Obviously submission, the submit part, okay? It also says the condition of being humble or obedient. I like that. It says an act of submitting to the authority or control of another. It is the condition of being submissive, okay? So we have different definitions there of what submission is. I agree with that as well, right? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say that, oh, submission is the act of being submissive. Submission is the act of being submissive. Submissiveness is to submit to something or someone, which is true. So now that we understand the two different definitions, feminism, yes, women's rights, we earn it, we deserve it. Submission, submitting to something else or someone else. So you can see that there's a unequal balance there already, just in the term, in the definition of both words. So why has this topic been on my mind? Well, it's been on my mind because, like I said, in this day and age, a lot of my friends, a lot of the women in my circle who are my age mates, who are my cohort, I feel as though we're all going through the same thing. It's either we're getting married or we're having to settle down. We're in that phase of like marriage, right? Where you do have to submit to your husband. And I say that because I'll get into that. But yeah, this is what's going on right now around me, around the women that I know, and all of the women I know. Thank God, we're all successful, right? We're all go-getters. We're all, you know, business owners. We all have that drive. We all have that sense of purpose. Back in the day when women used to stay home and tend to their home morning to night, all they did was take care of the babies and cook the meals, hand wash the clothes. That day and age is over with, or for the most part, it has reduced significantly. So now it's more so, okay, husband and wife go to work, drop the kids off in school, husband and wife return home. The wife has to prepare the meals and still tend to her home. That's just what it is this day and age. How nice, to be very honest, it would be so nice. Like, I think the only thing I like from back then, back in the day, is when women didn't have to work and their husbands provided 100% of their income. I mean, could that be me? I don't think so, because I have this like desire to work, this passion to, you know, just wake up every day and have that purpose and fulfill that purpose and know that I'm doing a great job at it. So I cannot be a stay-at-home mom. I've decided I would be bored out of my mind. I need daily challenges. I need to learn. I need to grow. So stay-at-home mom is not for me. I do now want to start getting into the scripture, which to me kind of takes us back to this foundation of what is submission when it comes to marriage, right? So I've been married now for a good amount of time, and I've had the experiences to learn my husband and to also learn my role in this marriage. So my husband and I, we both play completely different roles in this union. I cannot fill his shoes and he cannot fill my shoes. It's just that simple. When I say rules, I literally mean that these are unspoken rules. A man knows his place in the home. A woman knows her place in the home. And I believe that the clashes start to happen when those unspoken rules are louder than the rules that are spoken. Those unspoken rules are not on the same wavelength. They're not working in unison with each other. Your husband is the head of the house, and that needs to be respected, regardless of his income. Even if he didn't have a job, he's still the head of the house, right? And the woman is built to be the nurturer, the caretaker, the caregiver, okay? So I can never take my husband's place in the home. He can never take my place in the home. Granted, let's say, you know, one of us falls ill one day, we have the flu or a cold. So definitely those roles may have to be shifted temporarily, just so, okay, my husband may need to tend to me and say, hey, are you okay? 1 or 2 days, done. Back to my usual self, and I'm back in my role. Same with my husband. Let's say, God forbid, loses his position, not working. I still respect him because he's the head of household. But maybe I pick up pick up more hours or something, just to make sure that our home continues on that flow. Whatever your household does, that's up to you guys. I don't see a problem with the temporary role shifts. And also when women need a break, right? That's completely understandable. Being a mom and my husband being a first-time dad as well, it is a task every single day to take care of a little one, a toddler now, thank God. So yes, most of that responsibility falls on me, but I love how my husband can sense my level of tiredness, and then he jumps in and supports. That is what that balance looks like. As a Christian woman, I definitely always try to tie back my thoughts, my ideologies back to the Bible, because that is the source of all truths. So whether you like it or not, that's just what it is. And until you realize that, you're gonna keep having struggles with this whole feminism and submission. In fact, a lot of different issues and topics have already been discussed in the Bible. So unless you read the Word of God, you may still be confused. You may still have questions, right? So I just encourage you all, please read the Word of God, because even my talking to you today, this is not the end source. This is not the true source. I'm getting my information from the Bible, and I pray that you all will do the same. Go do your own research. Okay, so A lot of Christians know this verse in the Bible because that is where the Bible really defines the act of submission for a woman, for a wife. So I'm saying wife because that is when submission comes into play for a lot of the women in my age group, for a lot of the millennial women. Why? Because we're thinking about submission when it's time to settle down, when it's time to get married, when it's time to build a home with the man you just met a few years ago, right? Where you've decided that, okay, this is my husband, God has spoken to you, this is your partner for life, and then now it's time to submit. If you weren't submitting yourself while you were dating, guess what? You're gonna have to submit yourself definitely when you're married. Ideally, you should have already been submitting yourself even when you knew that, okay, this is a good guy. I can see myself marrying this guy. That is when submission really starts. It's just part of being a woman. It's part of being that classy woman, Proverbs 31 woman. It's just part of the package, okay? So don't just expect that a man will see you as a submissive wife after the marriage. Trust me, if he's a man of God, he's also scoping you out, girl. He's also making sure that you have those qualities that he's looking for as doctrined in the Bible, okay? So let me read this Bible verse to you all. I know you've already heard it before 1,000 times, but it's applicable because we need to dissect what it means. So it says, wives and husbands, right? The Bible lays it out for both husbands and wives. But for today's topic, we're focusing on women. It says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. Submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. This is Ephesians 5:22. So what exactly does that mean? So what that means to me, as it clearly says, wives, submit yourselves to your husbands as you do to the Lord. Who else on this earth takes precedence over the husband as close to your relationship to God? Who else? It's not going to be your parents. It's not going to be your siblings. It is your spouse. It is your husband. So as women, we need to submit ourselves to our husbands as we do to the Lord. It doesn't say as you do to your parents, as you do to your siblings. This says as you do to the Lord, period. It literally just stops it right there. So to me, that means that after God, my husband is the next most important man on this earth, period. That's just it. Out of respect for God, out of fear of God, out of being fearful of God, I need to respect that and I need to follow that guidance amongst all the guidances in the Bible, but it's particularly this one because God has given me my husband. He's blessed me with my husband, right? So who am I to now say, I love God, but I don't respect my husband? That means I don't love God, because it says as you do to the Lord. As you do to the Lord. As you do to the Lord, okay? So the women who are feminists, who are gung-ho, like, I can do bad all by myself. I'm successful all by myself. I don't need a man. I don't need a guy. I don't need you talking to a man all disrespectful and as if like they can almost spit on this guy. For what? It is highly, highly disrespectful. Highly, highly disrespectful. And I'll say that 1,000 times. If you're going to say you're a Christian woman, you need to submit yourself to your husband. If you're going to say you're a Christian woman, you need to submit yourself to this man that you've said you want to marry. Period. And that act of submission is not necessarily getting down on your knees, you know, saying, please stop, please stop. That's not what the Bible is talking about. The Bible is saying out of respect, okay, out of respect for your husband, submit to him. And that just means take care of him, respect him, be kind to him, speak well of him, not just privately, but publicly too. Always speak well of your husband. Always take care of your husband, okay? That is just, it's just as simple as that. The same way you take care of your child, or you will take care of your child, for my friends who are not married yet, or have children yet, that's the same way you got to take care of your man. It's just that simple. Respect him with all authority, because this is a man that God has brought to you. So now you are treating this man the same way, or as close to the way you should be treating Almighty God in heaven. Okay? Because when it's time to go, you don't want God to say, let me see, that husband I gave you, how did you treat him? I gave you the job. I gave you the success. I gave you everything you desired. I gave you children. I gave you a family. That husband I gave you, how did you treat him? You loved your children. You showed them all your heart's love. But your husband, you spoke to him every opportunity you could with disrespect. God will not be pleased with that. I can tell you that already. He will not be pleased by how you talked to, how you spoke to, how you approached, how you treated, how you cared for the man he's planted in your life. How did you handle that responsibility? So again, going back to feminism, you can be Mrs. Independence. You can be Mrs. I can do this by myself. Trust me, I was there. Before I met my husband, looking outside in, I didn't need a man. I didn't. I was in Houston at the time, paying my own bills, had a great job, independent, free will, doing my own thing. Submit to who? To what? No, I didn't need a guy to take care of me when I was in Houston. Thank God for that. But because I prepared my mind for marriage, even before meeting my husband, I literally was reading books on how to be the Proverbs 31 woman, how to prepare myself for dating, because prior to moving, I really didn't date like that. I didn't have many boyfriends. So I wanted to get my mind in that space of, this is the next step of my life, to try to settle down, to try to position myself for marriage. Granted, I had never met my husband. I had no clue who my husband would be at this point. But God said, Yemisi, it's time to draw close to me. It's time to read my word and how it applies to women. And I did that. This is in 2016, 2017. I did that. 3 months later, I met my husband. 3 months later, I kid you not. By the grace of God, I met my husband. So I'm saying that to say, you can still be Mrs. Independent. Nothing is stopping you. You can still run the world, right? Girls run the world. You know, they do all these great things. Still do it. No one is stopping you from that. What I'm saying is you still need to submit when it comes to your home. If you have friends that are anti-submission, anti-bowing down, or whatever terminology you want to use, those are not good friends to keep, because they will be divorced before you know it, and you're also going to be divorced before you know it, because the friends alike think alike. If you're hanging around women where they all have the same mindset, like, oh, we don't need a man, I don't need that man, we don't need him, where is that going to take you? If you know deep down in your heart you want to be married, you want to settle down, you're going to have to change your mentality. You're going to need to draw closer to God to really understand the teachings in the Bible on how to be a woman. It's in the Bible. A woman should not be shouting. You can do that outside. You can do that, wherever that applies to, but not in your home. You need to be calm. You need to be approachable. You need to speak clearly and respectfully without raising your voice. And you should never say foul words. You should never speak ill of your husband. To me, I don't want to say it's just that simple, but it's just that it's clear. It's clear. Let's not overcomplicate things. Let's not overcomplicate things. So I enjoy submitting to my husband. I respect him to the core. You're never going to hear me speaking bad about him. You're never going to hear me saying things I can't say in front of him to other people, because of respect. Once you respect your man or your husband, everything else will follow. I'm not saying bow down. I'm not saying lose your rights. No one is taking your rights away from you. This is just respect. When you respect your husband, he's going to respect you right back. He's going to love you right back, even more. When he sees you doing everything that he loves, which man wouldn't want that? But if you're the kind of woman where you're so gung-ho on this feminism train that you lose yourself in it, that you lose your marriage because of it, that you lose your relationships because of it, because you're so scared of this ideology of submission, what does that get you? Your friends that are out there screaming feminism, that are married, happily married, trust me, behind closed doors, they are submitting to their husbands. They are submitting like they should be. And that doesn't stop their outward image. They are still strong, still confident, still successful, all the above. Women are still doing those things while they're being submissive. So my message to you is this. Still be a feminist. I love women's rights. I stand for women's rights. Still do that. But in your home, when it comes to taking care of your husband or your partner or your boyfriend, you need to be calm. You need to know the word. You need to read the word. What does it say? Okay? And you need to respect your man. Even if he didn't have a job. Even if he wasn't the best in the market. This is a man that God has brought to you. So it's your responsibility to take care of this assignment. Because God is watching everything you do and everything you say. So as a reminder, it's okay to be a feminist, but don't forget to submit. It's very important. Wives, submit yourself to your husbands as you do to the Lord. Have that in the back of your mind. Whenever it comes time to talk to your husband, to deal with your husband, to care for your husband, to nurture your husband, always remember Ephesians 5:22. And everything will be easier. Your husband will reward you for it. God will reward you for it. I can promise you that. You don't have to shout. You don't have to call him names. All of those things are disrespectful. But please, I am literally saying please. Please, women, submit to your husbands. It doesn't take away your rights. It doesn't take away your independence. It doesn't take away your confidence. It doesn't subtract from who you are when you submit yourselves to your husbands as you do the Lord. That's all I have to say today. I'm going to go deeper, a part 2 into this topic. But for right now, I feel as though we are understanding the difference between feminism and submission and the importance of submission. It's in the Bible. So please, women, let's do our parts to take care of these men, make your home a happy home, and put God in the center of it all.